I thought we had 3 really good presentations this afternoon, but I just wondered how many people, and it may be a difficulty for you, Luis, how many people think of something other than coffee when they think of Colombia?
How many people think of?
Something other than coffee. It's not
we
the
have been
first
very
thing.
careful. We have been very careful. We never advertise or linked ourselves to anything that deals with violence, anything that deals with conflict. Any media placement that we do is very family oriented, very, very targeted, in order to delink ourselves from us. And I think that we so far have been successful. I think that all the surveys that we have on the Juan Valdez character show that people like him, that there is really nothing against him in many countries.
I shouldn't have asked, really. Question for you, Enrique. How big do you want Asia to be for Spain in terms of tourism? And why are you targeting Asia and not America, for instance?
No, we are targeting both. The thing is, I just came back from Asia last year. I was living in Singapore for the last 4 years. And it's really impressive to see how the world is shifting towards Asia. I think there is huge potential in Asia. Of course, there is in the US, but in the US we have 4 offices for 20 years now. We already have nearly 1 million, mostly North Americans coming to Spain. The numbers for Asia are still small. It's a big challenge, and there is everything to be done. I mean, our brand is not at all present in China, for example.
You want your visitors from everywhere?
Yeah. I mean, if I were a investor, advisor, I would say Spain, you have to diversify your portfolio. We have 85% of our customers coming from Europe. Sure. That's not healthy.
Okay. If we've got any questions from the audience, the panel here are ready and willing. There's one down there. Microphone on its way, sir.
Yes, hello. My name is Javier Piedrahita from the Spanish advertising web, marketingdirector.com. 2 days before I was in Munich, I was on a neuromarketing congress. There was the CMO of BMW, and he was speaking about behavioral touch, marketing. He says for his brand it's very important, because we see that the brand here is the most voted, that the behavioral of the people who work with this brand have the right attitude to the client. He say this is one of the things that makes BMW a big company. Because I think we see the tourism of Spain campaigns. We see a lot of campaigns. I feel in these days Iberia, my company, I couldn't fly with them. I called to the call center. When you don't get a good a good feeling from these people who have to work for you, or in Spain when you go to a bar and the people look bad to you, so you can make the best campaigns, but it don't come to the clients. So BMW now is working. He told us in this congress very strong on the behavior of the people who are behind the brands. So I think it's an important thing, and sometimes these nice campaigns like the tour, my own campaigns. I'm from Spain. But sometimes this is not the reality you find outside. So advertising in this kind don't work so good. So I think these German people are doing a good job, and possibly that's the reason people here voted this brand.
Thank you for that observation rather than question, really. Maria, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes. I think in country branding or in nation branding, I think the need and for transparency and for truthfulness in what you do is even bigger, and it's even easier to find out, because I can promote about my country that is this or that, but it's very easy to discover that it's not. If I say that my food is good and you come here and food is not good, it's very easy, and it's at the avail of anybody who travels. So yes, as in any brand, the reality has to support the claims that to make. Yes, as in any brand, now we live in a world of transparency, which this is much more important, because while I'm in Spain having a bad experience, I can put that in the social networks and a lot of people will know about it immediately. And we need to make sure that the campaigns and the storytelling that we use to promote our country are connected to the reality of the country and to the real values that this country has.
We're talking here about building global brands, and there's some research out, particularly from Bain Co., saying that they reckon within the next 10 to 15 years, a third of all the global brands will be coming out of the emerging markets. And does that sound right to you? And if anybody out there can think of which brands they might be, I'd really like to hear some suggestions.
Well, let's go back to Asia. I mean, my background is Asia and Brazil, so emerging markets, Absolutely. Both of them. And
with the money to create brands.
There's one thing that could save us from Asia, bulldozering us, is the brands. I mean, they have difficulty of creating brands. That's why they buy them, okay?
Right.
Geely buys Volvo. Tata Motors by Range Rover, Land Rover, Jaguar. It is difficult to create a global brand in a short period of time. You need, I mean, if you talk about Jaguar, okay, there's how much heritage is in this brand. You cannot create this in 10 years. You can buy it.
It's hard to think of any. Luis, can you think of any?
Well, I think one of the brands that was mentioned in that report that you're referring to was even Juan Valdez. Well, I happen to think that there is possibility for emerging market brands to make way as big brands in their areas of influence. And these are huge markets to begin with. I mean, you don't really need to go to America to become a big brand. You have, for instance, India, Lenovo, or these other brands that are coming up have a huge potential in their own marketplace. Can be huge brands on their own without having to be global. Just being pan-regional or regional will do the job. Once you achieve or reach that stage, then you can do the next step. But I don't think that that to be big, you need to be global. You have to go in layers.
Feel free to shout out if you've got any contenders. There's one over here.
Mike Donahue from the 4As. I'm curious to know whether you two gentlemen would be interested in using the 2D barcodes that were shown earlier on your various, on the can or on the ad for Spain, that would take you to a website where you could get the experience that you're doing. That's the code, I think, that the gentleman showed earlier, where you can put it in an ad, you can put it on your can. Someone has a camera in their phone, which just about everybody has these days. You show it on that, and all of a sudden it would be on your websites, whether you're considering anything like that.
Does that appeal?
Yeah, that will definitely appeal. I think that we are, as I mentioned, we are testing the technology as we have it right now. Because as I mentioned in that presentation, we are actually coming with very small plantations. So to build traceability to very small plantations is already a difficult job. But once we have that completely resolved, the consumer interface or some of the examples that you are mentioning will be, optimal for us to review.
We've got a question here. Why don't you wear a red and yellow tie? But I think there's a very obvious answer to that, so we'll move on. Maria, you're involved with one global brand as well as Spain. Any others that you really admire?
As country brands, you mean?
As global brands, as well as Samsung.
Okay, I think there are many countries that have built a tremendous reputation in several things. Like we were giving the example of BMW and how Germany has positioned as a country of engineers, of expertise, of technique, of reliability. I think that's something that is admirable, and they have been very consistent throughout the year. I think the US has been a brand that has been very consistent in terms of fun and entertainment and happiness and pleasure. Now we have Coca-Cola, we have all the entertainment industry. So there are many brands that are admirable in terms of country brands, and the strongest brands that we have seen in the index are the ones that probably deserve to be there in the work that they have done promoting the values of the country.
And there's a question that's been texted through. What are the three main benefits of a good national brand
I think there are many, many benefits, and I'm going to let Enrique talk about it too. But one of them is attract good people to be in your country, to work in your country, is attract investment to help you develop your country, is to grow your tourism industry with visitors that want to rely on the country, and also exports. If a country has made a reputation in being good exports, good quality like Germany, so that helps your exports and as a result the economy of the country.
While the other panel members answer that, we can take one more question from the audience before finishing. But Enrique,
thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I represent a small digital shop in the United States, in Miami specifically. But going back to emerging economies, think about Brazil. And I want to know your opinion of Brazil. Just I got the opportunity to host the next Olympic Games in 2016, I guess, right? And then also the 2014 World Cup. Considering the economic situation of Brazil, Brazil's future is today, right? That's what the Wall Street Journal said 2 weeks ago in the U.S. edition. I mean, what opinion deserves to you when it comes about Brazil? Because it's a country with a lot of safety issues, lack of infrastructure, definitely, but they won it, and I think it's a total win on their side.
Thank you. Enrique.
Well, what can I say? I love Brazil. I live 4 years there. I have an apartment in Rio. I guess I'm a bit biased. I think
it's the Olympics for
Brazil is going to be a big player in the world economy. I think it's going to be definitely the leader in South America. Is going to be the one who's going to run the political show, and I don't see any other contenders. I think Brazil is going to be both a huge outbound and inbound tourism country. I think Brazil is an excellent example of a brand that even though, and despite of all these security problems, has world appeal because of football, because of samba, because of music. And I think Lula da Silva was a blessing for the country. I was there when he was elected. I remember George Soros saying it's either Serra, which was the other contender at the time, or chaos, right? I remember the country risk rate dropping to African levels, and then you see where Brazil is now. It's beating Madrid, and it's beating Tokyo, and it's beating some other major cities in a World Cup, in a Olympics. The world is changing. It's changing fast. We have to adjust. And actually, I'd like to take the opportunity to answer to the Thai question.
Do.
Okay. Hard selling is off, and soft selling is on. Okay.
And style comes into it too.
Don't be too blatant, and don't go for the push strategy. Go for the pull strategy. That's what we do.
Thank you, Enrique. The Olympics for Brazil.
Luis. I think that Brazil has come a long way. People used to say, there was someone saying, I don't remember whom, that Brazil was the country for the future and will be. And that doesn't apply anymore. Brazil's future, as you said, is now. I remember the first time I came to Spain back in the early 90s, they were building Spain. They were building the highways. Everything was being built. And less than 20 years from then, you have a very decent infrastructure in Spain. And I don't doubt that will happen with all these Olympic events and all these World Cup events and what have you. The investment in infrastructure in Brazil will be significant. So I think that we have considered Brazil as a serious contender. Now, in terms of leadership, I think that Brazil's establishment has also to mature itself to its new responsibilities. I think that if they continue thinking about nuclear devices and what have you, then we'll have a trouble with that leadership. So you could say that they are in a teenage stage on that.
If you look at the East End of London, there were problems with infrastructure, problems with security, and all being well, we're going to have a fantastic Olympics there in 2012, and the whole place will have been lifted as a result. So, thank you very much to the panel. It's time for a break now. We have one final session afterwards. Come back. Thank you all.